When I uploaded my Tdarr video to help re-encode my media so I could free up storage space, I was using AV1 flow from GitHub. Although that worked very well, the one thing with Tdarr is sometimes it's clunky file permissions and the challenges of getting it to talk to external storage, even when mapped correctly using something like fstab, was quite challenging. I thought there must be a solution to this, something I could self-host that isn't Handbrake and could watch my directories and re-encode to my specifications in AV1. If you're not familiar what AV1 is a next generation royalty-free video codec developed by the Alliance for Open Media, or AO Media. It was designed to provide higher compression efficiency than the older codecs like we're used to with H.264, which is AVC, and H.265 or HEVC, meaning that it can deliver better video quality at lower bit rates. This makes AV1 ideal for streaming, and a lot of streamers use it now, broadcasting and video storage, especially in bandwidth sensitive applications. Unlike HEVC, AV1 is open source and free to use, eliminating any licensing fees that can hinder adoption. A lot of major tech industries now and companies including Google, Microsoft, Netflix and Mozilla have started to support AV1. And it's increasingly being integrated into browsers, streaming platforms and hardware. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can easily self-host Fileflows. And yes, it can be used totally free. There are also some features behind a paywall, and that may put some of you off, and I fully understand that. But I'll be honest, for my use case, I didn't need to pay a single penny, and I've been running this across my whole media estate. So without further ado, let's get on with self-hosting this simple to use and effective tool. So let's have a quick look at Fileflows, the website, and get a bit of a feel for it, and then I'll walk you through my current system. The Fileflows, if I come to their website, I'm kind of given a nice little overview of what they've got. I can go a bit down. So obviously it does process any file. Now I'm just going to be talking about video files in this, but you can absolutely do this with music, you can do it with documents, you can do it with pretty much anything you like. It will be able to do some compression methods to basically bring stuff down to a lot better kind of footprint for you. What I'm primarily focusing on those video files and obviously having that kind of transcode down to different levels. Now I'm going to be looking obviously at AV1. It does support HDR and Dolby Vision, which is amazing. And it does state in here that reduce your video files up to 90% in size, removing unwanted audio and subtitle tracks, and using more advanced codecs, which it absolutely does. So that works fine. If you want to do it with audio files, then obviously what it can do is convert to popular formats and then basically use the different bit rates as well to kind of help reduce those. Similar with image files, it can do various other stuff, resizing and scaling. I wouldn't always recommend that because you may want the best quality image files, but you can do it if you want to do stuff for, hard long-term compression. It does mainly support the GPU hardware encoding as well, which makes it really useful. Then this kind of process flow, which I'll walk you through in a moment, and I'll show you how I set up one. I'll show you the TV one when I do it. The reporting is unfortunately one of the paid bits. There is some basic reports that you get, but I'm not going to go too much into that. Obviously, it does save money. If you don't buy extra storage, then it's going to save you some money. And the main one for me is the fact you can schedule as well. Now, I do have a lot lower nightly rate, because I'm on one of the intelligent Octopus plans, so I can absolutely run this at night. Obviously, then it's going to cause one of my VMs to spin up a lot more, start consuming more power because it's using the GPU. What I can do is offset that by basically having it do it at night, and I'm less likely to be watching Plex or various other those kind of things while I'm doing that. So it's something that I wouldn't necessarily want to use during the day. And then from a platform perspective, it runs on a lot. I'm going to be running it in Docker, so I'll kind of show you how that works. But basically, that gives you an idea. When it comes to pricing, this is what I'm using. You can see you're limited to 2 processing nodes if you don't want to pay. To be honest, I've been fine with just running the one. It's just literally gone through. It's taken about a day and a bit to process every single file I've got, and then you'll see how many I had in a short while. I can have as many flows being processed as I like. It will just sit and do that. It does obviously all of those. It doesn't really impact any of the stuff down there until you start getting into some of these. And this is where you kind of get the advanced processing order Additional resources. So there's some resources you can do there: file server tasks, access control, some additional security, and then the availability to put more robust databases in there, which may be useful for you, and maybe something you want it to do. And then you start to get into the more kind of niche stuff that, unless you're running a business, I can't necessarily see why you're going to need this. But you've got obviously the reporting and the file drop feature, a bit of single sign on, that kind of thing, auditing, webhooks, etc. Now you could probably put something like authentic in front of this, and you wouldn't have any problems. So that should work fairly seamlessly. But you get an idea. I mean, I may just upgrade to this just to support the developers, because that's not an awful lot of money when you kind of consider it. And it would enable me to have one extra processing node and some additional flow elements as well. So I can do more than 30 steps. Don't necessarily need more than 30 at the moment, but basically it gives me a little bit more leeway. Anyway, let's have a look at mine. Now, I will clearly state I did find that I was running the wrong flow against my TV programs. So this one here, for example, I have blurred that image slightly. I do not own that kind of material on this server. Thank you very much. Neither am I a Chelsea fan. So it's definitely got some of this wrong. I mean, if I click onto the Chelsea one, for example, you can see this is actually South Park. And just to prove that I'm not a complete perv, this one is again South Park as well. So it's just pulled the wrong metadata. Now, I think that's because I run the wrong flow. What it was probably doing is not using the TV side flows scenario to basically pull that through. So if you do get that, that's probably what you've done. Just something to be aware of. Now, since I've been running it, yes, like I mentioned, there's been 4,949 files run. You can see how many it was doing over a day. So I have probably been running it a bit more than a couple of days, but I've had this running in the background on a schedule, just basically plodding away and getting through stuff. Now, this is the interesting one. I did double check this. Now, there is a couple of bits that kind of go against it, because if you look at this savings thing here, this gives me like a 52%, and I've only saved 4.3 terabytes. Now, that in itself is a good saving, but actually here, the storage saved is 14.6. So what I think it is there's a disparity between these two, but that is really the big number that you're looking at. I think the savings would be potentially, it must be looking at maybe a long term or long form. So it's basically saying at the moment that's what I'm kind of looking at kind of saving over the long term. But that saving of 14.6 terabytes is pretty phenomenal, to be honest. I've also watched back a lot of these. Now, I will say, I think a user commented on the Tdarr stuff. This seems to be handling it a lot better. And to be honest, the quality, I've not had to mess around with too much. I basically went with their recommendations, did a couple of little tweaks, and the quality's outstanding. I don't see any artifacts or anything like that on any fast scenes or anything on with the AV1, for example. So it does look really good. If I do look at savings, you can kind of see the ones that I've had the most on. So here, for example, if we look at The Empire Strikes Back, this will most likely be a 4K film. But basically, I've gone from 55.8 gig down to 9.3. Similar with some of the other Star Wars films as well. So you can see just some of those up there that basically are really stripped down to basically really high levels from that perspective. From my, to kind of deliver a lot better for me. I've got two flows. Like I said, I did make an error at the very beginning. I've had everything running on the AV1 movies, which probably means that that's why it's not been picking up the TV metadata correctly. So I'll look forward to in the future to see how well that handles that, and I will report back in the comments. So if you've had any other experiences on the metadata as well, just hit it up on there. But certainly from a movie's perspective, it's been bang on. So it'd be interesting to see now. I'm actually looking at take the TV shows and convert them to AV1. We'll walk through that flow in a moment on how I created that, but it's quite a powerful way to kind of pull that in from that perspective. And then from a library point, I'm basically just linking into where I currently are. So yeah, I mean, if you look at this, I've got my current mount media movies. So this is all mounted in the back end, and we'll kind of show you how that works. And then the TV side, which is linked in there. Now, with these, if I wanted to set schedules, I can do. I can also set priorities as well. So if I want it to prioritize movies more, I can focus it there. I can get it to look for these various extensions as well, and I can customize this. I can have it scan however long I want it to do, and then hold. So that will give you a couple of little views there. You'll see my schedule. I basically set up this way. I'm just going to add a couple of hours back in there. The idea is I generally have it running from midnight through till 7 a.m. just because I'm less likely to be watching like that particular film then. And also like the electricity prices during those times for me are a lot more attractive. From a detection point, I can have it do some various other stuff as well. So it can basically look at various other elements that it's looking for. So you can make it only detect files that match given patterns. So if that's something you want to do, so you might only want it to focus on the top end stuff, the stuff that's like really big, and that's the sort of stuff you want to compress. So you can absolutely just get it to focus on that. And then some additional filtering as well that you can apply to it. So you can get it to look for different folders, skip certain file access tests, add some different filters in, etc. So yeah, and even tick the downloads directory. So if you're using it with one of the Tdarr services, then you've absolutely got that ability there. From the nodes, like I said, from the free one, we can run two. Currently running Ubuntu, running this through Docker. I've gave it 8 gig and it never gets anywhere near using that. That's just something on the node that I'm particularly using. And you can see I've passed through my Intel Arc A310 into the platform to do what I'm looking to do. So at the very bottom, we do have some additional areas. So we've got some Docker mods that we can go into. So Docker mods themselves, if you want to have a look in the repo, you've got some nice little ones in here. So you can drop in stuff like Java, Nano, Node.js, a bit of Python, that kind of thing. So you can get this, if you want to go for the paid option, you can get this to do some very clever stuff indeed. So it's just something to be aware of. Similarly with plugins, you again have that option. So I can click add and it will pull up the repo. A lot of these will be around notifications, bit Discord, some Docker bits, file drop, that kind of thing if you're using it. Nextcloud, Plex, MB's up there as well. There's no Jellyfin at the moment, so just something to be aware of. But maybe there is a non repoed version of it that you can go and pick. So it'd be worth having a look. Similar with scripts, so you can add some scripts in. So there's some nice little ones in here, and you can see different ones to do with below recorder limit. You can see like radar ones where it's looking at movies. You can get it to do refreshes, renames, some sonar stuff. There's some really clever stuff in there. I mean, to be honest, that might solve that might have solved some of my problems if I dropped that sonar TV show lookup. Maybe I'll drop that in, and that will help. And then some tags if you wanted it to add tags to it, and various other stuff, and then variables if you want as well. So you can see some of them in here for presets. If you need to add any, great, you can drop them in. Language, you can say scan while pause. About the queue capacity, mine's currently set at 500. Max page size is 500. Keep failed temp files. Well, I've not had any failures. Temp files smooth and copied. Docker mods on server, kind of thing. Email, this is to do with when you first sign in. I'm not going to show you that. But basically, you will be presented with a login screen. You just need to set up an account. You've got a couple of options. You can either do it with a user password, or you can do it with an email address. So that's totally up to yourself. And then a license code. So if you do have a license, if you do go and buy one, then you can drop that in. And then finally, you've got your login, which kind of then sits in here quite nicely, which you can go and look. So anyway, go and have a look on how to install this. So you'll be able to see from here, this is my Docker Compose YAML file, and basically I can ignore the version stuff that can come out. To be honest, it's no longer required. Pretty much when you're running these, you can just drop version numbers from there. Basically, the service that I'm running is Fileflows. That shows where it's pulling the image, restart unless stopped, the port that it's running on. Now, if you were going to run this behind something like Trafic, you can obviously drop your labels in, that kind of thing, and drop the ports out and use a load balancer. Devices I'm particularly using is those, and you will have to pass through a GPU. If you're not sure how to do that, basically there's a guide above on how I did that when I did Jellyfin, so that will absolutely be able to help you. The temp path, so this is again So if you need to learn how to kind of mount locations, again, I've covered that in that exact same video. But basically, this will give you that temp path to your host. So this one is the transcode directory that I want it to drop stuff in. Now, it does recommend that you use something like NVMe drives. Now, I will say if you're going to use them, just be aware that the actual wear out will be quite considerable. You're probably better using something like a standard SSD drive. Although there will still be burnout and wear out on those particular, it's going to be less likely than it is on an NVMe. They generally have a lot more write capabilities before, or write over passes before they can actually completely give up the ghost. If you want to use a hard drive, what I've been using, it's been absolutely fine. Mine actually sits in one of my Samba shares. It's been churning through pretty quick. Obviously, you're going to get a little bit more speed, but then it depends where your file's hosted in the beginning anyway. So, yeah, my user and group is in there. You can see obviously the Docker sock stuff. It's just going to run from there. I've remapped again, added that drive in, so it's that kind of mapping to map transcode to temp. Then where I kind of data location sits, and then at the very bottom, I've mounted that media file. So when you saw earlier when I had the two media directories with TV shows and movies added, that was basically how I was running that. So all we would need to do is, again, obviously run that sudo docker compose D. That will obviously go and run off and pull that through, and it will basically stay in there. Like I said, the attribute for version now is obsolete, so you don't need to use it. But there you go. It's up and running and off, ready to go. The only thing you would get that you're not going to see on mine is that login screen, which you just go and create your account for. So I'm going to show you how to create the file flow from here, or the flows. So you can see I've already got one for movies, which is absolutely working fine for me. But what I want to now do is create one for TV. This is going to give me a little bit more options to be able to basically focus on my TV programs and basically build it from there. So what I need to do is give it a name. So I'm just going to start with something that's quite straightforward and obvious to me, just so that we've got that capability of understanding what we're doing. I'm going to select the video codec as being AV1 and then just give it a bit of a description so I know where to go. The main reason for this is obviously just to make sure that it's easy for me to find and locate, etc. So from that perspective, I can kind of just let that one get on. The container, I'm definitely going to keep it as MKV. I'll definitely use hardware encoding. When I stick on to the next type, it's going to give me that option for TV. So I'm going to select that one. And then I can set the quality. So this is where I kind of, you can see where it says good. I've actually gone to recommended. And that gives me pretty much enough. Now I can also set the bit rate if I wanted to, but I'm just going to allow it to do that. And then I've got the option to basically copy all the audio, or basically select different languages. So I'm just going to select English. Similar with subtitles, I don't need any foreign subtitles in my media. And then I just click finish and it's built this flow for me. If you actually look at how powerful this is, just from me basically creating something that simple, it's going to go off and do it. Now, what I need to do is obviously now set my files up. So I've got something to link it to. I'm just going to set up my TV directory, and then I'm going to find that path. So I'm going to back out. It should be under mount, and in media, and then in TV, and then select on there. And I'll be able to select that. And it should now just be as simple as selecting next. Now, you'll see what I did wrong there. I left it as AV1 movies, and I shouldn't have done that. And also there is basically to also specify the type. Now, video is absolutely fine. But what I should have done at that point is actually specified to use the TV. You can see what I've done is accidentally pointed it at the wrong one. So that's just something to be aware of. And then I can get it and leave it off to run. It will start pulling through the additional stuff in there. So that will actually go off and do that. But one thing just to be aware of is that make sure that you select the right flow for the right element. So I suppose there you go. That is how to deploy file flows. And I'll be honest, I absolutely love it. It's a lot easier to navigate than Tdarr. And obviously from an AV1 encoding perspective, you can see the amount of savings it's going to be making for me on a day-to-day basis. Now, if you're using it to kind of manage your own movies, music, TV shows, that kind of thing, then great. Obviously, as a content creator, one of the things I have a lot of is A/B roll. And also, to be honest, the amount of times I make mistakes in videos, sometimes I like to keep it just for comedy value, or I might want to pull something out of that video at some point. Then it's a nice, easy way for me to then compress that and store it somewhere. Now, the good thing is obviously I can do some additional tweaking with this if I wanted to go and pay the extra amount to have some additional processes, some additional nodes, that kind of thing. And I can spin a load of different nodes off the top of it. But from my perspective, having one just do this is absolutely phenomenal. It does everything I can need it to do from that perspective. So yeah, it does the job, and it does the job very well. Anyway, if you have liked this video, please hit the like and subscribe. And as always, see you next time.